It's your boy Lamar Creation. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, if not yet legend, of the country, of the world, soon to be, mentor, instrumentalist, producer. Man, your resume is phenomenal, Mr. T.L. Williams.
Hey man, thank you, man. Thank you, boy. You look good. You're looking like money over there.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. That's the Shatira beauty, man.
Oh, come on, come on. Let it drink. Let it.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get like you.
Come on, plants.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Man, good.
I'm good.
First and foremost, I appreciate you for sitting down with me today. We get the exclusive look and interview to the new project, STARCHILD. How does it feel to finish it?
Beautiful. It's always a lot of hard work making it. So when you hear it back for the first time and it's finished, it's something special. This one was interesting because it was emotional for me. This, usually it's celebratory, but this one was emotional for me. There were tears. There were overwhelming feelings. So, I'm really excited to see what it's gonna do. It took a lot to make it, and I can hear it being paid off in the sound. So,
some of the best music, right, it always comes from an emotional place. Kind of tell us like the headspace that you were in when you started the project. A lot of people don't notice you actually had a project, you finished it,
yeah,
and then you was kind of like, well, I'm not quite done. Like I want more. Mm-hmm. Kind of take us through that process of how you decide when you got to start over and what those emotions feel like.
I actually had three, right? So I had a R&B album, I had a rock album, and I had a rap album that I was working on at the same time. And the R&B album got the furthest along in terms of being ready to come out. But when I got there, I was like, I want more. You know how sometimes you feel like you might be chasing other people. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't want to chase. I wanted to make sure I was making what I wanted to make. It was my wife, Dani Joe, who was like, yo, why don't you put them all together then? Because that's how you feeling, really. One day you feel this, one day you feel that. So why don't you just put that together? Because that's you. And so taking that advice, I took the songs that meant the most to me, the songs that were made by my bare hands, the songs that God blessed me with, fully with the ideas, and just put them together. And that's how STARCHILD was born. I was done with the other one, but I was like, nah, I just want to do the best. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the best with it. So, yeah.
You made a comment. You used the word bare hands. So I've heard the album, right? And the first thing that I noticed right off rip was that everything sounded live. Mm-hmm. Everything sounded real. It didn't sound computerized. It sounded like you were actually playing these songs. Are you playing these songs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All the instruments, mostly all the vocals. I had help from Ruby Gold Smoke, of course, and I had help from Sisters Element. And I had other great songwriters in the room as well, in terms of writing a couple of the joints. Squad was there. Lori was there. Elisa Inez came in and cut a couple joints with us as well. So that's what I mean. I love sampling. Don't get me wrong. I love sampling, but you only get so much out of the sample. You only get 8 bars. You only get this. So, I wanted to do like intros and bridges and make the song go places, So that's what I know I can do. So that's what I did.
I think that's important though, because if not that sampling doesn't have a feel, because obviously it did. Because if it didn't have a feel, we wouldn't have grabbed it in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that you said that this album was emotional, and it means a lot to you. I think it means a lot more that you sat there and played each instrument. Now you actually control the feel. Am I pretty on spot with that?
Yeah. Well, for me in particular, I'm able to, I know I can hear the whole song. right? And it feels realer to me. It feels like I really wrote a song, and I didn't just like kind of factory make a record. You know, a lot of times, especially with like R&B, which we love, you know, it'll get a little factory made. It'll get a little, here's the beat, here's the top line, give it to the artist and go.
Yeah.
But this feels like songwriting was happening here. This feels like some, you know, I don't know, it's just some special, unique artistry was going on. So I didn't want to fight that.
For sure.
You know,
for sure. When I look at this track list, I remember hearing the project, right? And when the project came on,
first of all, do you like it? So
I love the project. Yeah, I love the project. You know, because I thought when it played, I thought I knew where the album was going. I said, okay, he's making a funk album. This is hot. I like this. And then a rock song came on. I was like, wait. Okay, I don't know where this is going, man. Okay, but maybe, okay. And then a gospel record came on. I'm like, so tell me, like, especially nowadays, and this is no shot to anybody, but the music that we're hearing nowadays is like, you kind of know what you're going to get, right? Like if you have, you know, an artist that's dropping a rap album or an R&B album or whatever the case may be, it usually has a sound that pretty much sounds the same throughout. That's just kind of what we've been accustomed and adjusted to over the last maybe 10 years. Your album doesn't do that. Your album has different feels throughout. You literally changed the genre mid-album. Was that scary to do, or was it pre-planned? Was each record that goes after the other, does it have like a reasoning on why it's before that song? Kind of take us through that.
I think that's one of those situations where if you've been working on your brand and you've been working on yourself as an individual and maintaining your individuality and being yourself, then you can fit on any genre because you're you in that genre. So, this is just what I was feeling, right? I went where it goes on the album because those are the records that mean something to me, and that's the order that they resonate to me in. You know, it ain't even that deep. It's just I wanted to make a great album that anybody could get something from it. You know what I mean? Whether you love R&B, whether you love alternative, whether you love gospel, there's something to resonate with your soul on it. And leave no stones unturned. Turn over all the stones.
For sure. So diving into that, what are some of the things that you want people to take away when they hear the album?
Well, songs are supposed to be soundtracks to your life. So take away soundscapes for your life. Be able to play this when you going to work, when you about to go out, or when you found that person, when that person start acting up and you need to get rid of them. Play it for when you need to talk to God. Play it for when you need to check yourself. Play it for, right, all these different things that happen in life. You know, that's what it's there for. I've always strived for that. You know, I always strive for that in my joints.
Let's go into talking about some of the particular records. For me, and like I said, I love the album, right? But I want to kind of dive into some of my favorites.
Dope.
For one, Beautiful. Beautiful is a crazy record. And,
yeah.
And for those that don't know, that was one of the songs that came from the original album. Why that one?
you know, I remember playing the first draft of the album, and that song would resonate with a lot of people. And so yeah, by popular demand, it made it over to the final cut. That is, I wanted to. So, all right. So when it comes to sex, like there's fucking and then there's love making, and they're very different, right? And so I wanted to, there's a moment where it stops being screwing and it becomes love making when you find somebody and it's like a spiritual connection there. I wanted to make a song about when you have that spiritual connection. It feels different. It smells different. It tastes different. It looks different. The moon is different. The stars are different. And so I just wanted to make something that was like, this is for that. Especially from the man's perspective when he first looks at her and it's like, this is who I want to be with. Right? She don't just look good, she look beautiful. You know what I mean? And so that's what that record is for. It's like when the first time you have that session. The first time you doing that, you ain't screwing no more. You making love. It's different.
Absolutely. Let's dive into Sexy and You Know It.
Yeah.
Musically, we didn't even talk about the writing. First of all, you're one of, if not top 3, and you're not number 3 when it comes to the writing in our city, period. Like, you're one of them.
Thank you.
The fact that you produce your own records too is crazy. And we've had situations where, I kind of want to do something else. I want to, get on somebody else's stuff. And it's just like, I want to do this because it's what you do and you're really freaking good at it. And Word. Sexy and You Know It is one of those joints that prove that. The switches, the changes. Where the hell was your mind at when you said, I'm finna flop it like that, flip it like that?
I mean, I'm a musical nerd like that, man. Like I love splicing different inspirations together. I love so much of other people's music. I was like, man, so I don't know if you're familiar with Rod Stewart, but right, like Rod Stewart got this joint called, If You Think I'm Sexy, you know what I'm saying? If you hold my body and you think I'm sexy, you know the joint. And I was like, so what's the cookout version of that? Right? Like what's the like black folks at the barbecue eating ribs and chicken? Like, what's the summertime barbecue version of that like your uncle had a couple Coronas?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He feeling lovely. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's what I wanted to do with it. I wanted to take it, but I wanted to like let it marinate. You know what I'm saying? Put the dry rub on it and let it marinate overnight. You know what I mean? And then come and then grill it. You know what I'm saying? And then put the KC or the open pit, or maybe you got your own blend. The North Carolina, wherever you from, put your sauce on it. And then serve it to the people.
That's crazy you said it and you described it like that, because that is the literal feeling that I get when I hear it. If I'm under any type of influence, it's literally like it's one of them joints.
Yeah.
It feels really freaking good. It feels really good, sir.
Thank you.
You accomplished what you were trying to accomplish, so well done.
Yeah, man.
Give the man T with a clap up for those that are at home. Phenomenal.
Man, thank you.
Your outro record, Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
Is it a coincidence that the record that's on at the end is called Man in the Mirror? It's almost like you're looking at yourself, or like you're reflecting on what we just witnessed. Is that a coincidence?
Yes and no, because I'll reflect on the second track. Right, whatever. I'm savage with it. And it's never a bad time to get better as a person. But it sat so beautifully in the track list, and it's the last record. Partly because of the way it ends, and the way it puts a cherry on top and an exclamation point on everything you just heard, and partly because if I were to choose between the different feelings that the album takes you on, that's probably the one I'd want you to go home with. I want you to be able to, when you listen to it, be able to look inside yourself and see if there's anything that you can improve on. Maybe something you was thinking about doing. Maybe you was thinking about hitting the gym. Maybe you was thinking about, improving on relationships, or just, making sure you good on the mental health tip. Having that record at the end just felt right. It felt like a suite was concluding, when I listened back to it. So I'm excited to see how folks receive it the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What does a T.L. Williams playlist look like? And I asked that because I don't think I was super surprised by anything that I really heard, because you are a musical genius. Like, when it comes, you play 5 instruments. So we know you got the musicality. But I think when I heard a rock song, I think that's the one that kind of was like, oh, wait, hold on. I didn't even know he did this. What does a playlist for you look like? Because I'm sure you're drawing inspiration from somewhere at a point, right? Like, what does that look like for you?
I I got a wide range, and these days, I think especially while I was working on this album, I found myself listening to a lot of 70s, R&B to start with. I don't know, it just seems like the best decade of music from a musical
Sure.
standpoint and a technical standpoint. But yeah, I think I get in a whip, run errands, riding around, listening to Ohio players, OJ's, Barry White, Rick James, Marvin and Stevie, of course. And then there's also Coldplay and The Verve and John Mayer and Keen, and all Jack Johnson, all different types of things. Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic, of course. And then there's, Wu-Tang, LL.
Very broad.
Whatever speaks to me.
And so, and usually when people's taste of music, most of the time, is developed from childhood, what the parents listened to, what they were around growing up. What was your childhood like? Like, what were your parents listening to?
That probably makes sense because I was in my house, right? There was different rooms growing up, and each room had its own thing because there were 2 or 3 generations in my house at one time, right? So there was baby boomers, which were my parents, and then there's my older brothers and sisters who were Generation X, and then I was a millennial. So, in my parents' room, there's Bobby Womack playing, but then like you go in the kitchen and like my sister's washing her hair, listening to Cypress Hill, and then in my room that I share with my brother, he's got the new Outkast CD, and then we all get in the car and go to the movies. Luther is playing in the car, right? It you pick all that up. I think you just soak all that in, I remember my sister brought home the Score by the Fugees one night. She brought that home, and I basically took the CD from her because it was like I was a kid, but I was so that was one of those records I was like, I want to do that. Because I thought it was amazing how, they were a group. They were a co-ed group. And they all sang. They all rapped. They all played instruments. They all had something to say. They did what they wanted to do, song by song, whatever the moment called for. So that's how that was growing up for me. And then I went to a diverse elementary school and junior high school. So that's where I meet up with my white friends and we listening to Blink 182, Blink 182, and, you know what I'm saying, Limp Bizkit, you know what I mean, Eminem, yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
So it sounded like you had a household that really appreciated music. I mean, I know me growing up personally, like my family, they liked music, but it was always a thing of where if I played music, I'll turn that down. So you had a family that actually appreciated music. So I'm going to assume that when you told them that you wanted to get into music professionally, it was a thing that they supported, right?
Well, I would say they did more to support it. Like my family was a band. My family was a cover band, right? So my mom was the lead singer. My dad was the guitarist. My sister played drums. When I joined the band, I played keys. My brother played keys. My other brother was playing bass. And then my godfather took over as bass. And but the band had been around since like the 80s. I joined in the 90s as soon as I got old enough to be able to play and keep up with them. It was like it was a way of life. It was, not only did they support, that's where I was doing it. That's where rehearsal was. It was at my house. We traveled, we did shows, we did R&B and top 40 songs, like cover songs, That's where I started to learn how to, like, I started playing piano when I was 4, and that was from the instrument being in my basement and the instruments being in my basement. Rehearsal was at my house, so people would leave their stuff there.
Yeah.
There I am. And I'm just, and I could go down and touch it as long as it was in the same space when they came back.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't know, right?
Yeah,
so sure. That's where I started learning and just picking up instruments and learning things, And like I said, I was about 11 when I joined, and that was dope because we were doing adult shows. We were doing clubs that I wasn't old enough to get into. And like technically I wasn't in them. That never happened. Okay, I never went to those places.
Never happened.
Sneaking in the back, sneaking out the back.
For sure.
But it was a dope time. I learned how to arrange music and produce it, and then like I saved up money from a summer job that I had, and I bought like a Korg Triton Studio. If you remember those back in the day, the same joints Pharrell and Chad had, that big silver keyboard, and started making beats on there, started tracking out. They had a sequencer on there that started making joints.
So you really learned and got your passion for music from your family, and then from that extended off into production.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. That's incredible.
Started making my beats. Oh, and they were trash. They were just the worst things you could.
We all got to start off somewhere because they're definitely not trash now.
Nah.
We're talking about, yet again, top 3 producers in the city, not number 3.
No doubt.
I don't want to offend anybody though, right? So my question would be is, when you dive off into the production part of it, at what point do you say, well, actually, let me rewind that back, because what I really want to talk about is why your beats sound so soulful, why they sound so passionate, and why they are so musical. That's one of the biggest things that we actually miss in production these days, is the musicality of it. I have an intern who she's very, very, she's a a vocal coach, but she's very, very into music. She's very, very into beats, not doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And and we know that there are some elements that kind of have like that, that 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. But there's always something that's bringing you back, something new, something that inspires different melodies, harmonies, feelings.
Right.
Right. And that will make so much sense because you started off playing instruments.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's what we're missing? Are we missing people that actually play real instruments?
In music production, I think it's more so about theory, music theory, understanding music theory, because it's not a requirement for you to be fluent on an instrument, right? Nobody's asking you to be John Coltrane on the sax to make beats. And that you also have to define instrument, right? Because I believe the MPC is an instrument, like the trombone. It's an instrument. And I think there are people who are MPC players to the highest level and can give you a concert at Carnegie Hall. You know what I'm saying? Like give you a concert on the MPC live that a lot of people can't do. But I think it's an understanding of theory and music history. Even if you play that instrument, if you don't understand theory, then it's like the language. You're not going to be as fluent on the language as you could be. So I think it's missing more of an understanding of music theory and music history, right? When I say music history, I mean it's a lot of producers that don't, like some of the artists that I mentioned earlier. It's a lot of producers that are making music for people that don't know the catalogs of those artists, and therefore are missing out on some sound and some ideas and some inspiration that they probably could get. They just don't know other people's music like that. They haven't studied. So music history and music theory, I think that's what's missing. I think there's always room for more of that.
What's your favorite track on the project?
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair.
So the reason why I asked that is because I think the people really want to know what's the single. And I know we talked. You guys didn't hear this part, so I'll bring you up to speed. That the project is dropped on purpose without a single, so we can enjoy it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure after everyone hears the album, like I did, and you didn't yet, at what point do we get a video? Because we're gonna want a video, and
I think by the time this airs, they'll be able to hear that.
Probably, they will. Yeah, you will be able to hear it.
Yep.
We're gonna want a video. I can tell you already. I want a video for Beautiful.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And I want a video for Sexy, and you know it.
Indeed.
But we all know that there's a selection process. You do what you do to make that selection process.
Yeah.
So, what do you lean towards right now? What you feeling?
I don't know. There are. Well, of course, there's going to be multiple singles once the album comes out. I definitely feel like "Sexy and You Know It" is a classic.
Glad you know it.
"Beautiful" is a classic. There's other records on there. "I Don't Love You No More" is going to surprise everyone. "Feel It" is just the funkiest thing ever. "Really Want to Love You" is just the funkiest thing ever. I was so excited. I think that "Man in the Mirror" is probably gonna surprise people as well, myself included. There's "Magnetic." that's a vibe. I mean, I'm gonna stop because I'll probably name all of the songs. So
that's a good sign. That's a good sign when you're that confident in all of your songs, and you should be because they're amazing records. Mm-hmm. With you being in, you touching so many genres on the album, is like, what's your thought process? How do you go about saying, okay, this record is for here, or do you not do that? Do you just do the records like you normally would, and then it just happens? Like, how does that look?
The second one, it's always do the record first, have fun with the record first, make the record first, make sure it's undeniable first, and then once it's done, okay, figure out what its home is, in the culture, figure out what its place is gonna be. It's always that first. I feel like when you do it the other way, you never get to fully have fun with the record and make the record the best it could be. It seems like you always run out of time when you do it the other way. Sure. And it's never as good as you want it to be. So just having fun, making it the best it could be, and just making a great record, then you figure out where the home is once it's ready to release. Absolutely. That's how I've always done it. Absolutely. Yep.
I have a question that I should have asked you at the beginning, actually.
Uh-oh.
STARCHILD.
Yeah.
Tell me about that name. Where did that come from?
So I just wanted something funky, right? So there's a couple of reasons. One is I just wanted something funky, and that's a name that I've seen other funk legends name their projects or albums. Yeah. And so that's on one level, right? And then, of course I look it up, right? Because I didn't want to like name it and then I'd be wrong or it'd be something stupid. And then I look it up and it's just like a gifted individual.
Yes.
I'm like, cool. That's all the Google I need to know about that. And I'm gonna go with that. And that's why I named it that. For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
Tia, I want to thank you for sitting down with us and really just going through this project. I'm super excited for everyone to hear it. Let us know where we can find it.
Yeah. STARCHILD. STARCHILD comes out October 30th. Probably by the time you see this, it's gonna be out. And it'll be everywhere music is sold.
So, again, thank you. I'm your boy Lamar Creation, T.L. Williams.